Conor McGregor doesn't look like the same man heading into UFC 329. The late nights are gone, the discipline is back, and the intense routines he's following every day have even longtime members of his team doing a double take. Let me break it down. The man they buried. Rewind to the summer of 2021. Conor McGregor was still the loudest name in all of combat sports. He was the first man to hold 2 UFC titles at the same time. He was the fighter who turned trash talk into an art form and predictions into money. And then in a single second, it all came crashing down. His leg gave out under him, the bones snapped, and the arena went silent.
And they're going to splint that leg and eventually get Conor McGregor out of here.
He was carried out on a stretcher and loaded into an ambulance in front of millions of people. This was not a bruise. This was not a bad night. This was the kind of injury that ends careers for good, and everybody watching knew it. You could feel it in the way the commentators talked. You could feel it in the silence. The king had fallen, and nobody was sure he would ever get back up. For a fighter, there is nothing more frightening than that. Your body is your whole career. It is the one thing you have always been able to trust. And in one instant, in front of the entire planet, it failed him. So this comeback was never going to be just physical. It was a fight against the clock, against doubt, and against that quiet, ugly feeling that maybe the magic was gone for good. The surgery was serious. When McGregor finally spoke from his hospital bed, the details were brutal. He described the metal that now held his leg together, a rod running the length of his lower leg, and the long, painful road that stretched out in front of him.
It's close to the doctors. I've got a titanium rod going down the knee, from the knee to my ankle.
That was the moment doubt started to spread like a crack across glass. Not everybody comes back from an injury like that. Some fighters never walk the same again, let alone step into a cage against the best men in the world. But even then, flat on his back, and in real pain, Conor McGregor made a promise. He said he had all the tools. He said he was going to do it. He said he was going to come back. The problem was, the road ahead was even longer and darker than he knew. Because when he finally got healthy enough to fight again, the comeback fell apart a second time. A return bout against Michael Chandler was booked. The excitement was building, and then disaster struck once more. During training, in a lapse of focus, he broke his toe. The fight was pulled, and McGregor, in a rare moment of honesty, put the blame squarely on his own shoulders. Think about how much that must have hurt. And not just the toe. He had climbed all the way back from a shattered leg, only to be knocked down again by his own concentration slipping. That is the part he owns now. That is the part that changed him. Because he did not hide from it, he named it out loud.
The training partner, I had no protection. Next thing you know, bang, broke my toe.
So now the doubts were no longer whispers, they were headlines. The clock was ticking. Every month that passed made it feel less likely that he would ever fight again. Some people said openly that he was done, that the sport had moved on without him, that the great Conor McGregor was now just a story people told about the good old days.
Definitely ticking.
But the big question is that it?
It is hard to explain how heavy that silence is for a man who spent his whole life being the loudest voice in every room. The cheering had stopped. The doubters had grown louder by the day. And for the first time, even some of his most loyal fans started to wonder if the greatest story the sport had ever known was finished. That kind of pressure would have crushed most people. What it did to McGregor was the opposite. It built him back up.
That injury happened. I put it to myself.
And what came next was not the loud, flashy, party-hard Conor the world was used to. What came next was quiet, serious, he said the time. For talking to yourself was over. Now it was time to act on it. Now it was time to put in the work on yourself. The deep work. The work nobody sees and nobody claps for. And he says that is exactly what he did.
It's now time to act on that. You've got to put in the work on yourself.
And here's what makes this comeback so different. Most fighters come back for the money, the fame, or the ego of proving people wrong. McGregor says he came back to fix something inside himself first. The body would follow, but the man had to change before the fighter ever could. And that quiet, private change is the real engine behind everything you're about to see inside this camp. So he did the work. And slowly, the impossible started to look possible again. The rehab turned into training. The training turned into a real camp. And then came the announcement that woke the entire sport back up. Conor McGregor was returning. Not against just anyone, but against a living legend, a man he had already beaten 13 years ago, Max Holloway.
Superstar Conor McGregor will make his return to the octagon against Max Holloway.
The fight is set for July 11th. At welterweight, a rematch years in the making. And when McGregor talks about it now, something is different. The old fire is still there, but it is calmer, colder, more focused. He says he is not just showing up, he is bringing everything he has ever built to this one night.
I am taking everything of what I have built.
And that is the heart of this whole comeback. He does not see himself as an old fighter chasing a memory. He sees himself as a man stepping into his best years right here, right now, with the entire sport still bearing his name. Listen to how he frames it, because this mindset is the fuel behind every single training session we are about to break down.
The fight game and the combat sports world is McGregor's world. And I'm in my prime here now.
In his prime. At 37 years old, just days from turning 38, coming off a 5-year layoff, he is telling the world he is only now entering his best years. That is either delusion or it is the most dangerous thing a fighter can be, because a man who truly believes that will outwork everyone. And in a brand new sit-down interview to sell the fight, he made it clear the body is ready and the mind is even sharper. So how does a man come back from a snapped leg, a broken toe, and years of doubt and stand there looking better than ever? What does that training camp actually look like from the inside? Because everyone who has seen it is saying the same thing. This is not the old Conor. This is something else entirely inside the insane routine. If you want to know how Conor McGregor is training for the biggest comeback in the sport's history, the first thing you need to understand is the tone of the camp. And everyone close to it keeps using the same words to describe it. Different, serious, quiet. This time, there are no cameras chasing chaos, there is just work. McGregor himself has summed up the whole vibe in one sharp line about the discipline behind it. He has said the effort this time has been on another level, telling reporters no corners cut, no flash, we've been quiet this camp, and we've been at work. That single sentence tells you more than 100 training photos ever could. This is a fighter who used to live for the spotlight, now choosing silence, choosing to disappear into the gym and let the results do the talking on fight night. And the results are already showing. The people around him describe a fighter in the kind of shape they have rarely seen from him. Lean, sharp, powerful, not puffy and heavy like some past camps, but cut down and dialed in. His own coaches at the gym cannot hide how impressed they are as they watch him move.
Conor's in fantastic shape. I've never seen him look so good before.
Now let's actually break down the routine, because this is the part fans want to see. The camp is built around long, brutal, twice-a-day sessions, mornings and evenings. Skill work in the early hours, when the mind is fresh, and heavy conditioning later, when the body is tired and has to keep going anyway. It is a grind that repeats day after day after day, with no shortcuts and no easy rounds. The cornerstone of it all is explosive, striking heavy pad work, wall drills, high-volume combinations thrown over and over, until the movement becomes automatic. The goal is not just power, it is power that lands clean when you are exhausted. So they push him. The whole session is built to sharpen his aim while draining his tank, so that his best shots come out even when his legs are heavy.
Tonight's training session, the goal is to focus on speed.
Speed, accuracy, and sharpening the tools. That is the daily theme, and the conditioning behind it is savage. We are talking full rounds back-to-back, followed by sprint rounds at the end, just to make sure the tank is fully empty, before he walks out the door.
12 rounds, high pace, with sprint rounds thereafter to finish.
But here's the thing that separates this camp from the wild McGregor of the past. It is not about brute force anymore, it is about precision. His coaches talk about it constantly. The whole style is being tuned to be more like a sniper than a brawler. Patient, composed, picking the exact right moment to land the exact right shot, instead of swinging wild and hoping. And when you pair that patience with the power he already carries, his team believes the result is frightening.
Conor's accuracy, with the power that he has now, he's unstoppable.
Alongside the striking, there's a whole layer of work most fans never think about. Movement drills, footwork, film study, and game plans built around Max Holloway's pressure-heavy style. Holloway is famous for his volume, for drowning opponents with punch after punch. So McGregor's team is drilling composure, staying calm under fire, making Holloway miss and making him pay for it. Every detail is being polished, but the striking and sparring are only half the story. Behind the scenes, recovery is treated with the same care as the fighting. His strength work is built around movement now, not just lifting heavy. Hip and ankle mobility, balance, reaction speed, and explosive rotation. All of it designed to protect the very joints that failed him last time. His food is timed almost to the minute, with protein, good carbs, and careful hydration around every session, so his body bounces back fast and shows up sharp the next morning. Nothing is left to chance. And running underneath all of it is a mindset the team repeats like a prayer. Leave your ego at the door, show up, do the same hard work every single day. No complaints, no shortcuts. It sounds simple, but for a man who spent years being told he was the greatest, choosing humility in the gym is its own kind of transformation.
Working hard, same thing every day. No ego. We leave our ego at the door.
And if you want the single sentence that explains this entire camp, it comes straight from the man himself. He does not believe in talent. He believes in obsession. He has said it flat out in the middle of a hard training session, dripping with sweat.
I'm not talented. I'm obsessed.
That is the whole philosophy in 5 words. He does not think what he has is a gift he was born with. He thinks it is the reward for putting in the time when nobody is watching. He says if you put in that time, the target takes care of itself. No shortcuts, no excuses, just the same brutal work, done over and over until greatness becomes the only possible result. Of course, no fighter builds a masterpiece alone, and McGregor's team for this camp is stacked. His daily sparring partner is his longtime friend Nicolo Solli, an Italian welterweight nicknamed the Monkey King. McGregor has praised him him publicly saying, "Solly is in phenomenal condition, pushing me hard, with coaches watching every single exchange." Solly's frame and his flying knees forced McGregor to sharpen his distance and his defense round after round. But Solly is just the start. The camp also leans on a deep bench of proven partners. There is Lee Hammond, a veteran who has been part of McGregor's camps for over a decade and brings elite grappling and hard, realistic rounds. There is Eoin Sheridan, a tall, rangy, undefeated prospect standing 6'5", brought in to mimic reach and pile on pressure. There is Derek Kelly, a grappling specialist who tests McGregor's wrestling defense and his ability to switch from the ground back to his feet. And in the final stretch, fresh faces were called up too. Emmanuel Bacage, an Italian fighter who has trained beside McGregor for over 2 years, adds polish and recent cage experience. And in a fascinating twist, an amateur boxer named Craig Cavanaugh, the son of McGregor's head coach, was brought in purely for pure boxing exchanges. The kind of clean striking work that matters most for a welterweight showdown like this one. Watching over all of it is head coach John Cavanaugh and the rest of the Straight Blast gym staff, calling out corrections, monitoring every round, keeping the whole operation safe but sharp. McGregor is the leader, but the unit moves as one. He has called it a glorious time in the gym, with the whole team fully tuned in and locked into the challenge in front of them. Even outside observers who dropped in came away stunned. UFC reporter Megan O'Leary visited the Dublin camp and walked away describing exactly the version of him that fans have been begging to see. She expected the hype. What she found was the old school Conor, serious and locked in, taking the work seriously in a way she had not seen in years. And McGregor's own words back it up. He says he feels absolutely amazing and stellar, fresher than he has felt in a long time. In fact, he has flipped the biggest knock against him into his biggest weapon. Everyone assumed a 5-year layoff would make him rusty and old. He argues the opposite. He says all that forced rest saved his body and that he now feels a lot fresher than his opponents who have been grinding through wars while he healed. And every brutal round, every sprint, every drill in this camp is building toward one promise he keeps repeating: a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece on July 11th. A McGregor masterpiece.
So the body is dialed in, the team is elite, the routine is savage and smart. But there is one more piece to this comeback that no pad session can explain. The man who used to flash cash and chase chaos has gone quiet on all of it. Something deeper is driving him now. The reason he says he can train this hard at all. The prayer behind the power. Here is the part of the story that most people miss. Because when you ask Conor McGregor how he found the discipline to rebuild his broken body and his broken reputation at the same time, he does not point to a workout plan. He does not point to a supplement or a coach or a secret method. He points to his faith. And whether you believe what he believes or not, it is impossible to understand this camp without understanding this. McGregor has been remarkably open about how far he fell before he climbed back. He has talked about hitting rock bottom, about the years of partying, the addiction, the off-the-cage incidents that dragged his name through the mud. And he has said that in that dark place, when everything else was stripped away, there was only one thing left. He told Ariel Helwani in a Raw interview that at the very bottom, there's nothing else there but God. From that low point came what he calls a spiritual journey. By late 2025, he was making public declarations that stunned even people who thought they knew him. He announced that he had engaged on a spiritual journey and been saved and healed. He said plainly that he was now living his life by God's word. This was not a quiet, private thing. This was the loudest man in the sport telling the world his life had been rebuilt from the inside out. And this faith is not new to him. It runs all the way back to the start. McGregor was raised in a devout Catholic family in Crumlin, Dublin, the same working-class neighborhood that shaped everything about him. He grew up going to Mass, carrying that identity quietly even through his wildest years. And to this day, he speaks about his home country the way a man speaks about a gift he did not earn.
To grow up in Ireland is a blessing from God himself, and I thank him every day.
But the most powerful glimpse into his new mindset came in a recent sit-down where he tried to explain how differently he lives now. He talked about walking away from the flashy life, the watches, the endless talk about money. He said he keeps himself modest now, and he described his whole life like a man walking a tightrope, where one wrong step means a very long fall.
I'm not mad on discussing finances and things. I keep myself modest.
And then he painted the picture in a way that stuck with everyone who heard it. He said life is like being on a tightrope stretched high across a room, with a terrible drop below. One slip in the wrong moment and you are gone. It is a haunting way for a champion to talk, and it tells you how seriously he takes his own balance now.
It's akin to being on a tightrope, and the tightrope is going across this office with a very high fall.
He admitted the honest, scary truth underneath it all, that when you're down in a dark place, sometimes you feel nothing at all, no emotion, just recklessness. And in that state, the rope gets thinner and the fall gets higher, and part of you almost wants to jump just to feel something. That is how close to the edge he says he was, and that is why the next line matters so much.
I'm keeping my balance. and making my way through life. And God is helping me with that.
God is helping me with that. That is the whole comeback in 7 words. Because this is a man who now believes his balance, his focus, his very ability to stay clean and disciplined comes from something bigger than himself. And that belief is exactly what powers those brutal 5 in the morning training sessions. He does not drag himself to the gym out of fear. He goes out of gratitude. Listen to how he describes his mornings now, because this is the engine of the entire camp. He talks about the simple gift of being able to walk at all, after a leg that was snapped in 2, and he says that for too long he wasted that gift, and that those days are over.
I've been gifted this ability to walk, pursuing my craft.
He does not run from his past anymore. He names it. He calls what he did a disgrace to the gift he was given. And then he draws a hard line in the sand. No more. That word, that decision is the turning point of his whole life. Everything in this camp flows out of it.
And for too long, I disgraced that gift. And no more. So, every day, I count.
And what replaced the partying and the chaos is almost unbelievable coming from him. Prayer every single day. He says he now starts each morning by counting his blessings and thanking God simply for the ability to get up and go to work.
He starts in prayer to God that I'm able to get up and go.
He has also spoken about forgiving himself. He says he forgives himself for disgracing the position that God placed him in, and that he will not do it again. That is a heavy thing for any person to say out loud, let alone one of the most famous fighters on the planet. But it is exactly this self-forgiveness that his team says freed him to train with joy instead of guilt. And the emotion he uses most to describe how he feels now is not anger. It is not even confidence. It is something warmer.
I'm ecstatic with the opportunity that lays ahead of me.
Ecstatic, not stressed, not bitter about the years he lost. Ecstatic like a man who was given a second chance he never thought he'd see. And that gratitude is exactly why he can look ahead and see so much still left to win. When he talks about what is in front of him, it pours out of him like a flood.
The announcement of a McGregor fight still gets me pumped.
I feel there's so much left for me.
So much left. More titles, more knockouts, more records, more of everything he built his name on. This is not a man fighting to protect a memory. This is a man who genuinely believes his best chapter has not even been written yet.
Conquer in this game. So much more accolades, more belts, more knockouts, more records.
And this new faith has even changed how he talks about his opponent. He still has the old fire, the trash talk, the swagger. He still calls Max Holloway his child and promises to beat him again, like he did all those years ago. But underneath the bravado, there is a calm certainty that was not there before. He believes the entire game still belongs to him, and that it is now his job to prove it. And that word masterpiece is not just a soundbite for him, it is the whole point. From the very first day of this camp, when he talks about July 11th, he is not talking about just winning, he is talking about creating something, a performance so complete it silences every doubter for good.
I'm gonna go out there, make a masterpiece.
So when you put it all together, you finally understand what is really happening inside that Dublin gym. Whether it all ends in the masterpiece he keeps promising, or another heartbreak, nobody knows yet. That answer only comes on July 11th, when the cage door finally closes behind him. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.